Okay, it's the end of the session. I'm here with my buddy Nellie, and you see she's very pawy. Remember, if a dog puts his paw on your arm like that, that's a dominance move, so immediately stop petting or engaging with them. This part, it's okay. But usually you want to invite the dog onto your lap rather than having her do it on her own. So she's demanding attention from me. She's demanding this. So we'll talk about petting with a purpose first. So if she's demanding something, I give it to her, then that tells her, yes, she's in charge of me. So what I'm going to do instead is sit, up, up. So I'm going to make her do something before I give her attention, affection, or a reward. So if she nudges me and tells me what to do and I do it, then I'm telling her, yes, you're the boss of me. And that's part of her problem. She thinks she's in charge of the world. And then every time that she tells me what to do and I do it, then I'm validating that she's in charge of me, and that confuses her even more. So instead, what I would like to do, Nellie, sit, sit. So I like to ask the dog to sit, or if it's already sitting, come and sit over here, or to lay down, or do something to change its state. Then I pet it to reward it for doing something, i.e. petting with a purpose. And so now whenever possible, try to pet your dog under its chin. When a dog feels good about itself, his nose is parallel to the ground or tilted upward. Insecure dogs look down, and petting a dog on top of the head creates a down nose orientation. So all things being equal, try to pet her here. You can scratch her butt or pet her anywhere else. Just never pat her on top of the head. You can caress and scratch, just don't ever pat. Okay, so what if I just want to pet her? I would still like to do, like I did earlier, ask the dog to do something to earn the affection. That will also help her boost her self-esteem. Why don't we come back up here? It looks better when I have a dog in the shot. Come on, Nellie, can we get that one? Sit, sit. So the more that she earns affection, just like us, I feel better about myself if I build my business to be worth $100 million than if I won a $100 million lottery. I would take the $100 million lottery, but it would be better for me if I felt like I built something. So if she feels like she earned this affection or this treat by sitting, that makes her more inclined to want to sit the next time. It also helps redefine the leader-follower dynamic because I'm telling her what to do and I'm rewarding her for doing it. She will start to prepay for attention, come and sit in front of me as her way of saying, hey, I'm sitting down because that's what you tell me you want me to do before you pet me. And now she is now adopting more of a passive mindset or more of a follower's mindset. Instead of telling me, she's asking me. And so she's already, so make sure when she does that, we do pet her and say sit whenever she prepays with a sit or crash or whatever the word is if she lays down. Now, even if you want to pet the dog, I'd still like to ask you or any of your guests to ask the dog to do something first. And it'll help when you want to ask her to sit when the delivery man is at work or there's somebody at the door. There's other more strenuous situations. She has to practice that a lot in order to do that. That's why police officers go to shooting ranges. They have scenarios where they have to draw their pistol and shoot at certain targets because that's really dangerous, and they want to simulate that as much as they possibly can. Yes, she's looking for the treats that are right here. Okay, so the offshoot of that is what I call passive training. Passive training is simply waiting for the dog to voluntarily do something on their own without any influence. Sit. That's an example of passive training. I didn't ask her to sit. I didn't influence her to sit. When she did, I petted her within 3 seconds and I said the word sit and only the word sit. Now, most of us say too many words to our dog. Oh, what a good dog you are. You sat down before I even had a chance to ask you. They typically can the first word you say. So if you say a whole bunch of words, it's harder for them to parse and hear the sound, the word that you're looking for. We say as humans between 2,000 and 11,000 words a day. So if suddenly she's got to listen for 10 command words for every command action, and she knows 10 commands, it's 100 words she has to listen for. That's much more difficult than listening for 10 words. So I'd like the guardian to come up with a list of the official command words. And if the roommate or the fiance come in and catch us saying, come here, and the word is come, they say vocabulary, I say, come. Thank you for reminding me. Remember, it's a gentle reminder. Now, for petting with purpose, I have a watchword for this as well. I call it paycheck. So if I'm petting, if somebody comes in and sees I'm petting her and she's standing, they say paycheck, I stop petting, tell her to sit or lay down or do something. And then when she does, pet her on the chin, say sit. I can tell the person, I asked her to sit before you came in the room. You didn't see it, but I was doing it the right way. But if I argue with her, that tells her, look, he's on his page, I can be on my own page too. So instead, we want to make sure that we come across as on the same page, and that way the dog's like, I better get with them. Now, one of the other things we go over is what I call passive training. And passive training is the easiest form of training any dog. It just takes a lot of diligence and observation. Every time the dog organically offers you the behavior that you want, you reward them within that 3-second window, and then you pet them and say that command word. So every time she comes to you, pet her and say come. Every time she sits, pet her and say sit. Every time she brings you the dragon, say dragon. So name all of your toys. Every time she takes her first bite of food, maybe say sushi or pasta or whatever your favorite meal is. And so that way you're putting things in context. For me, every time my dog takes a drink of water, I say the word water. So you never know if you're on a road trip and you need the dog to drink and they're not listening to you, you say water. Now they know what you mean. Otherwise, you provide the water and like, oh, I'll drink water. Well, they don't realize there's not going to be water available in the car or wherever we're going. So it's really helpful to have those. All right, so we also talked about enforcing rules. A lot of dog guardians don't have any rules because we perceive rules as a negative the way they're introduced to us as a child. And the rest of our life, we look at any rule as a negative or enforcing rules being mean and breaking the rules as a positive or as a reward. So a lot of times we start to enforce a rule, the dog seems to be behaving, we invite him to break that rule and it confuses the dog. So they need to learn through consistency, repetition, and good timing. So if you're going to enforce a rule, it has to be in place a minimum of 30 days, if not longer than that. And I usually say 30 days or as long as the problem's still going on. So some of the rules we went over, not being allowed on the furniture. So you're kind of breaking a rule here, Nellie. We'll put you up here so people can see you. Because the higher a dog sits, the more rank or social status they have. So I want the dog to go to the dog bed. I showed the guardian how to teach the dog to go to the dog bed using positive reinforcement and coming up with a command word for it. And I would have a different word for each dog bed. So if you have one here, one at the office, one upstairs, maybe this one is, what do we call this one? Condo. Maybe the other one upstairs is palace. Maybe the other one is castle or Jamaica or whatever it is. Come up with funny words that you like that you can use that if you say Jamaica and the dog runs over and lays down the dog bed, your friends laugh and that motivates the dog because they can read human facial expressions. Some of the other rules we have is we have a carpeted area around the couch. This is where the guardian eats most. So when she's eating, the dog should not be allowed on the carpet. She can be anywhere else, just can't be on the carpet. When she's in the kitchen, dog's not allowed in the kitchen. When she's cooking. The rest of the time she can come and go as she pleases. To enforce those, remember to use that the first and the third escalating consequence, hissing before they break the rule and marching at them after they break the rule. Stopping at the point of enforcement, wherever the boundary is. Now, I also went over the 4 escalating consequences I used to disagree with unwanted actions and behaviors. We went through a targeting exercise. The video above has a focus exercise. And I also showed her how to teach the dog to do a grovel and command and to do circles. I'd like to see the guardian trying to teach her a new trick or command once a week. And then all week long, before I feed you, you have to roll over. Before you go outside, you got to play dead or whatever these are. But pick one for a week and then roll over for everything. And the next week, teach her something else, and now you have to play dead for everything. And roll over and play dead should always be taught one after the other because they kind of use the same concepts. But even just teaching her to walk around a circle or do things like that can be helpful. It's a nice way to redirect your dog's attention. Let me see. Other rules, she has to sit before we let her in or out of the door. Tell her to sit once. If she doesn't sit, walk away for 1 minute, sitting down somewhere yourself. Wait for 1 minute, then go back to the door and tell her to sit. This time we wait for 2 minutes if she doesn't sit within that 3 seconds, and so on and so forth. Now, I have videos on my website. I call it, claiming the door. And so if you want to watch a video that explains, I showed the guardian how to claim the area around the door using the escalating consequences. So if you want to go to doggoneproblems.com, click on dog training tips, and then there's a search box on the right. You can type in claiming the door or circle, hurricane is what I call the circle exercise, or grovel, or whatever it is. And you can come up with these different commands and videos that I've done. There's thousands of them on my website to teach her. The more tricks and commands she knows, the more confident she's going to be. Dogs that are really reactive are typically insecure. So one of the best things you can do is boost your dog's self-esteem and confidence by teaching it some new tricks and skills. It helps to deepen its relationship with you and respect for you as an authority figure, builds their confidence, gives you different ways to redirect them. It just really accomplishes a whole bunch of things all at once. The guardian should also be eating something before she feeds the dog, because dogs eat in the order of their rank. And so what I would do is I would march the dog out of the kitchen first. When you walk away from that, make sure you're walking backwards. So you're keeping your hips and shoulders pointing at the dog. And take a step back and pause. Another step back and pause. And if at any point she comes forward, you hiss and rush forward at the same time. And you stop at the line. And eventually you get all the way in the kitchen, and then basically you scoop up your dog's food, put it in the bowl, put it down, and she's still not allowed to come in. Then I eat something, a chip or cracker or a piece of celery, something that takes 5 or more bites. And when I get done, then I invite her to come in and eat her food. So I have top dog or a higher ranking of authority because I'm eating before she does. I have dominion over the food, which helps me have more rank as well. I'm the one giving her permission. So again, it enhances her respect for me as an authority figure. And when she takes her first bite of food, use that passive training to give her a command word. Say sushi, if that's your favorite food. And so every time for 2 months, she takes her first bite of food, she hears the word sushi. After a while, you say sushi, and she goes, yeah, I'm hungry as heck, let's go. Or you say sushi, and she's like, It's a no. That's why it's helpful to have a command word for potty. I have a lot of people like, my dog doesn't have accents, I don't need the word. What if you're on a road trip? Or what if you need to ask the dog, because there's construction and you're not going to be able to go out of your door, hey, do you have to potty? It's always helpful to have the command word. Let me see, is there anything else I forgot that you want me to go over in this video? Okay, well, I think that's just about it. Now, if you think of things or if things are not working, please call me or text me. If I don't hear from you, I assume that means everything's going great. Now, we're going to see her again on MLK Day in a couple of days, where we're going to go to the office and we're going to try to teach her that when the buzzer rings, it doesn't mean attack the delivery driver. It means the delivery driver is here to hook you up. So we were using a lot of positive reinforcement for that, because that's what I do as a dog psychologist. All right, well, this is Nellie. She's saying, take off all your clothes. It's getting hot in here, something like that. Well, this is Nellie, and this is Nellie's roadmap to success. Remember, everything you do trains your dog. Only sometimes you mean it.